Hi, long time no talk. I finally made landfall here in Cape Breton, so I'm home. After all this time, I finally made it back. A lot happened on my trip. I wouldn't be able to talk about all of it in one single video, but a lot happened. I ended up having my flight canceled while I was in Montreal, so while I was there, I ended up going on a little bit of an adventure. I decided to go explore downtown Montreal and just see what's going on. I figure since I'm traveling the countryside, I might as well see some of the world while I'm out here. So I ended up meeting a 98-year-old yoga instructor and spiritual teacher. What a coincidence. He taught me a couple of new things, and he helped me relearn a couple of old things that I had always known, but I sort of just let it drift away in my memory. When we live our lives, we have a tendency to forget a lot of the things that we learn. We can't remember everything. We can only store so much information at once. Living a balanced life is difficult. Finding a balance between everything is even more difficult. But what I've learned on my trip is that the most important balance that needs to exist is your mental state of being, your emotional state of being, and your spiritual state of being. If these three are not kept in harmony, then the rest of our lives will also fall out of place. It happens all the time. So during my whole trip, even though I was sometimes afraid or uncertain, or I felt like I didn't know how I was going to make it to the next destination, and I did a lot of walking too. Probably the most amount of walking I've ever done in my life. But I always made it where I needed to go. And I know if I applied that metaphor in my life all the time, I would always be moving and I would always make it where I need to go. But while we're at home doing our same routine over and over again every day, while we're living the same day, same job, same thing over and over again, it's easy to lose sight of the fact that there is something amazing guiding us along in our lives, but it's hard to explain exactly what it is. It's like a mystical force. It's like an invisible guide that takes you exactly where you need to go. That's the experience I had. Geoengineering is still at the top of my priorities. Climate engineering, the manipulation of the Earth's natural weather systems. Hard to believe that a technology like this exists. It sounds like science fiction, but it isn't, unfortunately. It's been ongoing the entire time since I was gone. When I've returned, there were floods. Again, people were reminded of the great flood that we had back in October during Thanksgiving. Same conditions, jet aircraft spray, and then the flood. People are still coming to terms with reality. Some people still think that I've lost my mind, lost my marbles. I've lost friendships over this as well. Coming back home, I've hung out with a couple of friends, very good friends, that obviously care. And words can't even describe how much that means to me, that you guys care so much. And I have online friends as well, people that I haven't met face to face, I don't even know what they look like. But just people that you get along with so well, you enjoy hanging out with them a lot. People just have that special connection. Like it doesn't really matter how far away you are. You just know it's real. Like you're legitimate. You are your authentic self. That's the only advice I can really give. Like you're you're always going to bump into fake friends. It's part of life. You're always going to meet people that don't actually care. They aren't really your real friends. Like they don't vibe. You don't feel that they actually, they're just there, but they aren't really your real friends. Your real friends you just know by the way they make you feel. If they make you feel happy most of the time, chances are they're your real friends. If they're real with you, if they will cross you, you know, your real friends will stand against you if they know it's bad for your health. Whereas fake friends will not, will always try to appeal to you. They won't ever say anything that disagrees with your opinion. Your real friends will. Your real friends will give you a hard time. They'll blow smoke up your ass. That's what real friends do. So basically what I'm trying to say is you should just be your authentic self, because it's so much better to be alone than it is to be with people who make you feel alone. I think that's a far worse fate, don't you think? And even in spite of everything, I'm not alone. I'm far from it. There are certain people that I guess I wish I could have gotten closer to, but I guess it wasn't meant to be. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, regardless of our personal lives, and I know that I've been talking about my personal life a lot, but I've had to face a lot of challenging things. Sorry about the noise, it's the furnace. But the point is this: even in spite of everything that's been going on, my focus is still where it should be. We need to do everything that we can to inform ourselves of what's going on in regard to the weather and what's happening in our sky. Geoengineering is very real. Part of the reason I've taken this trip is to try to find myself, try to figure out, you know, do I have what it takes to be able to survive? I was able to survive Edmonton, well, with a little help from my friends. But most importantly, I survived Montreal all by myself. The airline, they put me up for 2 nights, and they paid for my food and my, you know, whatever it took to keep me alive until I could get a flight back. But downtown Montreal was all me. I was all on my own. I was reconnecting with a friend of mine that I knew over the internet. And from there I met his friend, and from her I met her father, a spiritual instructor of 98 years old. Years of age. That's a long time. He taught me how to live peacefully, how to let go of fear. He taught me that attachment to these feelings is the real burden. And it's not a matter of making these feelings disappear like they never existed, but to not let them control your life. Just like we don't want to have toxic friends that control our lives. It's all connected. All of it. My personal life and what's going on in the sky. It's all connected. All of it's connected. I'm going to try to cut this short. We all know how I like to go on and continue talking where it's not necessary. I'm going to do everything that I can to raise awareness on the geoengineering issue. I've had to face some personal things in my life in order to get to this point. And the only way I see is forward. I don't see any other way. I'd rather lose the friends that don't believe in me and keep the ones that do. If there's anything that I can do to make things better for you, just let me know. It's not my job to fix people's lives or anything, but I don't want to be a burden to anybody. I'm sorry if I made anyone feel that way, like I was burdening them. I even had this talk with my father. I didn't mention geoengineering. I don't really want to have that talk with him just yet. Soon. But I talked to him about I don't want to feel like I'm a burden. I don't want to weigh you down. But he said, no, I've never felt that way. I never will feel that way. It's the point he got across to me. So I'll always have people that'll always care and love me no matter what I choose to do, no matter how hard it gets. I think we all do. Don't take those people for granted. Be glad that those people exist. And just know that I exist as well. I care about you as well. I don't need to know you on a very deep personal level for me to tell you that I hope everything works out. I hope everything is well. I hope that you will end up finding happiness as I have. But let me tell you that one of the secrets to that trick, to letting go of fear or any type of ailment, depression, anxiety, any of it, you have to bring balance to your mind, your feelings, and your soul. We all have one. So, to bring harmony to all three of those things, you have to examine your perspective. And if you have a negative perspective or a limited perspective, that's all you're going to get. So the only way to move past there is to expand your perspective and just be at peace. Let go of what happened. Forgive yourself. It's in the past. Move on. Be happy. If you really want the right people in your life, they will appear. But you have to change your state of consciousness and your perspective. Like minds attract like minds. So the only way you're going to attract people that think positively is if you start thinking positively yourself. That's the key. It's the only way. It's the only way it'll work. If you need help with this, I'm always here. But some things we must face on our own. I've learned that as well. Anyways, I've ranted on long enough. I just want to get a couple thoughts out in the open. Just know that I'm going to continue to do what I do. I'm going to face my greatest fears. I'm going to try to live a balanced life. Anyways, I thank you very much for being with me this far. I'm going to continue. I don't just do it for me, but do it for you. Do it for everyone that I care about. I care about all of us. But my dear friends and my dear family, you know how much you matter to me. You know how much I care. I always want to get closer. It's just hard for me to fully express my feelings sometimes. I've grown up in a type of condition where I've been taught to conceal my feelings and there's been a lot of guilt, especially over being, a homosexual male. There's guilt about me being gay. It was shamed in my culture when I was growing up. That's why it took me a very long time to come to terms with it and be completely comfortable with it, because people held great judgment toward me, just as they are holding judgment against me for the geoengineering issue. Judgment is something that will always be present in people. We should learn to be less judgmental, live less from our mind, and live more from our heart. That was something that this spiritual teacher taught me, that we don't live from our heart. We do too much thinking. We burn our batteries. He referred to our mind as a supercomputer, kind of like this iPad or a phone. And when it's trying to think too hard, its battery dies. It's thinking beyond its capacity. We need to slow down, breathe, be still, be at peace, stabilize, let it go. These are just some of the things that he taught me. To start living from the heart, as opposed to not to let go of the mind, to let go of what we know, but to bring it into balance and harmony with how we feel. Feeling is a good thing. Feeling is what guides us. It's what guided me. It's how I made it, through feeling. When we use our logic and reasoning alongside our feeling and our intuition and our sensitivity, then we are complete. And negative thoughts will always emerge. But the opportunity for a new expanded perspective also emerges with these negative thoughts, if you allow them. It's all about what we allow in. Anyways, thank you for participating in this. I'm going to cut it short now, just before we reach 15 minutes. thank you for tuning in. I hope that I helped.